JJ and Sophie are back. They're like the lethal weapon duo we never asked for. What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And today, we're talking about My Spy, The Eternal City, aka My Spy 2, which would have been a lot easier, but now we have to remember that the movie is called Eternal City. So, this reunites the predominant original cast, including Dave Bautista, Chloe Coleman, Ken Jeong, and Christian Shaw, along with some new faces played by Flula Borg. We got Anna Faris and Craig Robinson, notably among the new cast here. So it does have audio description on Amazon, so that's exciting. Kudos. Thank you for that, Amazon. This is an Amazon exclusive. The first one they bought. The second one I'm assuming they made. They now have inherited a franchise. Because I have blind viewers, I do want to say that I've got a purple hat on backwards today. It's a baseball cap, black sunglasses, and I'm wearing, quite appropriately for an Amazon movie, The Boys t-shirt. So let's talk about My Spy 2. I don't want to keep saying the rest of the title. So what is this movie about? Well, taking place a few years after the events of the first film, JJ is now married to Kate, who is notably pretty absent from the film. We interact with her a little bit through Zoom, but she's not really in this film. So if you were hoping that the film would force Dave Bautista to have more of a romantic connection with Kate in the sequel, you would be wrong, because she's not here. So, and she definitely does not make the trip that is the catalyst for this movie. So JJ is kind of laying it back, trying to be sort of more of a dad to Sophie, while also training her, like also making sure that she, gets her badass badge from the Girl Scouts. And meanwhile, Sophie is becoming less interested. This is like a completely contradictory sequel. Like, Sophie is like, I don't want to be a spy anymore. She has some comment later on when he mentions that, and she's, I don't know, she gives one of those like dismissive comments that's like, yeah, I used to want to be an astronaut too. And then I grew up. It's like, okay, well, the whole film hinged upon you being... So she's like a completely different person. They've totally rewritten her character. She gives these like, you're not my dad comments, which I'm sure are like great for teens going through this age, except for the fact like the whole point of the first film was that she was trying to push this guy with her mom together. Like, she wanted him to be her dad, and now she's like throwing it back in his face. You're not my real dad. And it's like, but what? So this film is like very confusing if you've watched both films, especially if you binge watch them back to back, which I almost did. Basically, I did. And I was just like, okay, you're totally different now. Got it. Anyway, her choir gets selected to go to Europe for a competition, and she wants to go, and they need chaperones, and she's like, well, JJ could chaperone. He's not doing anything. He's really not doing anything. I mean, like, there's like a CIA thing that's like happening in the background behind him, but he's not. He's really excited about baking cookies, and then more muffins. What did he make? Scones? He made something at the beginning of the film that she didn't want, and he takes it into work, and he's like, everybody better eat these, they were made with love. And I was like, oh God, it's a sequel. So, so they jet off to Italy for this competition. She has, in the new cast, the people who have been introduced, she has a friend, Colin, who I got a different read on than this film wanted me to get, but we got there eventually. and they're best friends basically. She is friend zoning him hard in this, to the point where um she's like, oh, I really like Ryan, and like he has to like help her, you know, try to make this date happen with this Ryan kid, who's, I don't know, not a terrible guy, but he's not Colin. By the end of the film, you'll be like, there's a difference between Colin and Ryan. It's not like Ryan is overtly like, he's not like the school bully where he's like tripping kids in the hallway or anything like that, but he's not Colin. Anyway, um, so Sophie wants to, I don't know, Ryan's just so cute. Uh, and some stuff happens, and turns out there's like a terrorist organization and some spies and some things that come in from the past, and JJ and Sophie get sucked in, and Ken Jeong gets in the field this time, along with Christian Shaw, who's back as the partner, who is also far less interested in being the actual like physical spy. She's accepted her lot in life as being the analyst, the one that's at the computer who knows how to hack into things and stuff like that. So, really kind of like the four of them have to team up, but because of the way the situation is and looks, it looks like they've gone rogue. Um, Craig Robinson is playing sort of like another person at the CIA who then is tasked with, I guess, trying to bring them in. And really, your villains are like Flula Borg and Anna Faris. So uh, it is what it is. It's a sequel. If you like the first My Spy, it's questionable whether or not you'll like this one, because, like I said, this one throws out a lot of the ideas from the first film and is like, well, no, we're not going to do that anymore. And I was like, but that was the whole point of the first film. So if you really enjoyed the point of the first film, like if there were things about it that you enjoyed, it would be like if we made a Spy Kids franchise, but like in the second movie, they didn't want to be spies anymore. I think you're like, we really sold hard on that spy thing, like hard on the Spy Kids, and then like in the second film they're like trying to play basketball, and you're like, leave us alone, Dad. We want to play basketball now. That's Spy Kids too. Um, she's like not interested in it, but then of course when she gets thrown in the action and she has to actually like use all of these skills that JJ has taught her over the years, skills that she's acquired over a long period of time, Liam Neeson style, uh, she becomes obviously, a little bit more like, okay, so I'm good at this. I get it. And she's a terrible driver, by the way. There's a driving sequence where she, like, no one can drive but her, but she hasn't even taken like a driver's ed course. So basically, like, the extent of her driving is like, you've let me steer. I can't even imagine what that was like based on how awful her driving is in this comically over the top sequence. Um, Everything that can be hit and is hit, it is, to the point where you're like, how is her vehicle running? Is she driving a tank? Like, I mean, like, you can hit a lot of things, but your vehicle also sustains damage along the way. You can't just run through everything and just be like, my vehicle's perfect. It's not just bulletproof, but it's everything proof. um, so, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's some of the original cast that cameos. It's sort of a surprise towards the end that the people are back from the first film, that are not really in the earlier part of the film. You'll get it. You probably already picked it up, but I don't want to say it. I just want to like nod to it and be like, I see you. Um, and yeah, I guess there could be a My Spy 3 if they wanted to make one. The stakes of this are generically spy movie high. Someone's got some nukes. We really like, Hollywood just does not have faith that our nukes are, or the nuclear codes or anything, are locked up really well. It's always about stealing the nukes. You know what I'm saying? Like, every every spy film defaults somehow into stealing the nukes. I almost like have greater respect now for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, which is just kind of like about like AI gone amok, and like what that could look like. It's like, come up with something, because the whole stealing the nukes thing has just been in like every spy franchise now at this point. Just like every spy franchise, somebody has stolen nukes. They're always stealing the nukes. Um, anyway, yeah, or the codes, or the secret, or the list of secret agents. I mean, there's so many like tropes in spy franchises where they just, I want them to do more. I want it to be more. I want spy movies to stop repeating themselves. This is fine. Dave Bautista is fine here again. He a lot of people talk about Dave Bautista in that he is somebody who takes his acting seriously now. He's really trying to work with the right directors, get himself into interesting projects. He himself has been in the Bond franchise. He's worked with Denis Villeneuve multiple times now. He is trying to be a respected actor. He's trying to take on serious projects. So I don't know why he keeps doing the My Spy franchise, because this doesn't really do anything for him except perhaps raise his profile. But it's a streaming sequel, so I'm guessing he just got paid. Chloe Coleman, once again, is really good here. She is obviously a budding young actress who could be given a lot to do if you want to rely on her. The two boys, Colin has immensely more screen time than Ryan. He's all right. That's what I was saying. Like, I got a weird read on him at the beginning, but then like the film went a different way, and by the end of it, I got what they were doing. But at the beginning, I was like, I don't know what's up with Colin. And then, yeah, we went a different way. So, everybody else is just, I caught the sort of like haha humor of having the host from The Masked Singer and a judge from The Masked Singer and the host from The Masked Dancer in the same movie, and then they have like this little scene towards the end, like basically like that pre-credit sequence, where they like cut to credits for like a second and then they come right back, and then they're like, we're not done. They have one of those between Ken Jeong and Craig Robinson. It's again fine. I know in a great scheme of things, that's hard to sort of quantify, but it means I've seen worse this year. It's a lot worse this year. I had a decent time through one watch of this film. I don't know that I need to see this film again. I don't know that I need a My Spy 3. It's serviceable for the time that it was. I didn't feel like I negatively spent my time. So, the audio description here I thought was good, and it also sort of like encompasses and just quickly summarizes things, which is nice. Like, there's a scene where there's like a ransom video at the G7 summit, and it just kind of says that several representatives from the G7 nations get this video, instead of like, I don't know, trying to figure out how to like list which country or give reaction shots of each one. It just kind of clusters it in together and just summarizes that thing. I think that's probably the best way to describe how that would have happened. There's some fighting and some shooting and some action sequences here. And like I said, there's her horrendous driving that is fun to narrate. I never felt lost. And most of the cast is returning. And they do it, by the way, this is very much sequel narration. So if you haven't seen My Spy 2, they're not dumbing it down for you. They expect you to know who was in the film before. They expect you to have seen My Spy, basically. So for example, because Kate is barely in this film, the first time we see Kate is like through FaceTime, I guess. And the narration is something about like how JJ picks up the phone. It's Kate, uh, Sophie's mother. Like it actually just directly tells you who's on the phone and why she's in the story before she ever speaks. Because if you'd seen the first movie, you would recognize Kate and you would know that it was Sophie's mother. So, uh, yeah, it's rather than like there's a woman on the phone with brown hair and, like waiting for that moment where JJ finally says her name, like is which sometimes may or may not ever come. It's just cuts to the chase. It's like, listen, you saw the first film. I can't imagine somebody jumped into My Spy Eternal City, but was like, nah, My Spy doesn't look like my thing, but My Spy Eternal City does look like my thing. So anyway, um, yeah, I'm gonna give this basically the same grade I gave the other one. It's kind of the same. It has about as much interesting things. It tries different angles. Like it goes with this whole "you're not my real dad" thing, which obviously like goes places where he's obviously like really hurt by that, and it's like, well, I know I'm not your real dad, and I'm trying really hard to be a dad to you, and what's really a dad, like. And then of course, so like there has to be payoff with that, at some point. So I mean, like it has like a different set of priorities, and the villains are just generically forgettable, but the villains of the first one were generically forgettable. Um, this film again hinges upon Dave Bautista and Chloe Coleman, um, and I think they did fine. So I'm going to give My Spy, The Eternal City, a B minus. It's the same grade I gave the first film. There's some things that the first film did better, but there are some things that this film does better. So there you go. And thank you for watching. Please click that like and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the other side.